Hello, welcome, my name is Adam, and this is the Fighting Fantasy. We've got a special treat for it lined up today. And firstly, I want to thank our sponsor, Todd. If it wasn't for you, this would not be possible. This series of videos here will be possible only because of Todd sponsoring our videos. So, basically, we've been doing Fighting Fantasy on this channel for a couple of years now. We've been going through the books, giving a first look. Next year, we'll be actually reviewing each and every one of the books. And each month we read through a book where I do the voices, I do the reading, and everybody watching makes all the decisions, you know, and it's really fun. And I was just made aware that there's digital versions of these books as well. They haven't done them all, they've done a select few. As you can see here, this is the start. Today we're only going to be reading the rules and the history, sort of this is an introduction. But then in the next episode we'll do Blood Bones, and there is a sorcery series as well that you can we can look into as well. But for today, just the rules and the history. So let's get to it. What is Fighting Fantasy? Like, if you're a newcomer to this channel, you found this video because you're interested, subscribe to my channel and you will get every video I do about the Fighting Fantasy. Put a like down on this video if this interests you, and make sure you make that bell ring with the notifications set to all, and you will get notified every time I upload a video or I go live. So let's have a look here at the history of Fighting Fantasy. Let's see here. The year was 1982 and it was the UK. Like every year during the 80s, it was filled with the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. The young ones and Knight Rider hitting the TV screens for the first time. Prince William was born, and the Falklands War had just begun and ended. Come On Eileen was the biggest selling single of the year, and Dealy Boppers and leg warmers were all the latest fashion craze. But most significantly, for thousands of preteens, August 1982 saw the publication of a brand new type of book. One in which you were the hero. Part novel, part role-playing game, The Warlock of Firetop Mountain was the first title in the Fighting Fantasy gamebook series. The authors Steve Jackson and Ian Livingstone were not new to the gaming world. They first met at Altrincham Grammar School in 1967, and 7 years later shared a flat in London. In the early 70s, they founded Games Workshop with another old-school friend, John Peake. The intention being to create innovative new games to sell by mail order. How do we fast scroll next page? That's how you do it. There they are. There's Ian Livingstone and there's Steve Jackson. Their first big break came when a copy of Dungeons & Dragons, a unique role-playing game, was sent to them by its creator Gary Gygax for review in their fanzine Owl and Weasel. Steve and Ian were convinced they discovered a gaming revolution and set about securing an exclusive 3-year European distribution agreement from TSR Hobbies, the publishers of Dungeons & Dragons, to the European market. And this was soon followed by various deals to distribute other fledgling role-playing games. John wasn't keen on this change of direction to Fighting Fantasy Gaming and left Games Workshop mid-1975. Ian and Steve remained convinced that Fighting Fantasy role-playing and interactive entertainment was the future, and went full-time. In 1977, they began publishing White Dwarf magazine, and in 1978 opened the very first Games Workshop retail outlet in Hammersmith, London, as well as manufacturing the Citadel miniatures. So this basically, I'm not going to read all of it because I can imagine there's quite a few pages to go through, and you know, you guys just listening to me is surely not what you've signed up for. I don't know. But check out this. It's absolutely free to download, and it tells you all about the history of Fighting Fantasy. It's really interesting and quite surprising. I mean, think about it. Dungeons and Dragons in America was like the very latest thing in the 70s, and in the early 80s, you know, Ian and Steve got a chance to bring it to Europe and show us what they could do and transform that into fighting fantasy for the rest of the world. And I mean, thanks Ian, thanks Steve a lot. So, but what is fighting fantasy like? What, okay, role-playing game, what do you mean? Well, let's have a look at the rules and let's see, because they're printed inside every single book, okay? And it can be quite complicated at first, and I'm sure people have made variations of these rules by themselves, but it's pretty interesting and easy once you know how. So welcome to the Fighting Fantasy Classics. If you've never played a fantasy title before, or you're hoping for a rules refresher, you've come to the right place, my child. Below are links to sections that explain how various aspects of the game work. Press the home button in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen at any time to return to the main menu, which is the castle here. Right, so Fighting Fantasy books. Well, I've got a shelf full of them, and on this Sunday we shall be reading one of the sorcery series of books called The Crown of Kings, and join in, okay? The link to that live event is in the description box below of this video, okay? So check it out and join in the fun, because it really is a lot of fun. Let's see here. Reading Fighting Fantasy game books. Fighting Fantasy game books are interactive adventures which you are the hero. You decide which paths to take, which dangers to risk, and which monsters to fight. Reading a digital Fighting Fantasy game book is easy. Once you have selected your difficulty and rolled your starting skill, stamina, and luck scores, you'll be thrust into the story. The book is broken up into sections, which have interconnection with each other. Once you have finished reading a section, you will be presented with a number of options to choose from. Once you've made your choice, you will automatically be taken directly to that section to continue the story. Well, what does that look like? Well, using this Crown of Kings as an example, as you can see, each page has paragraphs, and each paragraph is numbered. And it's that number that you will flick to when you make your choice. Will you fight the dragon and save the princess, or will you cowardly run away and weep in the forest? Turn to da-da-da-da to find out. And it's you're making all the decisions. It's pretty cool. Some sections span a number of pages and require you to return and turn the page. Not return, but turn the page. And it's easily done by swiping left and right across the screen. Alright, so like if you've got it on your mobile device, you know, you just like that. Alright, I'll message you. There we go. Pips at the bottom of each page indicate your progression through the current section. Many different types of links feature in Fighting Fantasy game books. You don't get links in the actual books themselves. This is all about the digital versions, okay? The 4 types that you will encounter the most often are page links, item links, fight links, or dice roll links. Now, if you have got the original books, it's always best to have 2 6-sided dice, a bit of paper, and a pencil, and you'll roll the dice, and it will determine your skill score, your stamina score, and your luck score. And that's basically who you are. Luck is obviously how lucky you will become, and a lot of situations call for you to actually roll for luck, and every time you do, you have to -1 away from the total, and it's a bit you know, but your luck will never exceed whatever dice roll you roll. Same with your stamina. That's like your health bar. So if you've got no stamina, you're dead pretty much. It's a measure of your life force, you know. And your skill is like how skillful are you. in the ability to do whatever it is you're being asked to do. So if you have to roll against your skill, it's most likely because you're fighting somebody or attempting a complicated task. So a lot of the time you are rolling against your skill, stamina, and luck. Get back to this. Is page links take you to the next section in the story. Item links let you access an item, buying, selling, or using. I mean, this is basically Skyrim, guys. If you like Skyrim, you'll love Fight Fantasy. Fight links will enable a fight, and dice roll links allow you to roll a die to determine what page link is available to you. If you activate a fight link, the adventure sheet and monster encounter sheets will slide onto the screen, and you will need to resolve the fight before you can move on. Sometimes links on the page you are reading will not be easily selectable. This could be for any number of reasons. 1. You must first complete a dice roll. 2. You must first complete a fight. 4. What happened to 3? I'm going to say 3, but that says 4. You require a particular item, a lack of, to go to that section. So you need like a key or a code, you know. And 4, you require a particular knowledge or lack of to go to that section. So, you know, somebody says to you, oh, turn to page XYZ, because that's where it is, you know. So that's all about that. So we've read about that. Skill, stamina, and luck. I've kind of just gone over this. So, you know, if you're an adventurer in free read mode, your skill is calculated at the beginning of the adventure by rolling 1 die and adding 6 to the number. This becomes your initial skill. In hardcore hero mode, only 4 is added to your roll. Now that's a new rule. I've not heard of that before. Your stamina is calculated by rolling 2 6-sided dice and adding 12 to this total, and this becomes your initial stamina. I know your luck is rolled by 1 and you add 6 to the number and it becomes your initial luck. Now, your initial scores can never exceed that initial base, but a lot of the time they will fall below. You'll be asked to change them constantly throughout the adventure. So let's go back to contents, and we have the battles. Now, this is where community is divided. There are some people who play strictly by these rules, and trust me, if you do, the battles take a long time to complete, and that's the way they're meant to be played. A lot of people either will just completely skip a battle and say, I've won by default, because they want to read the story, or they'll roll it, but then they'll only take, like, they'll roll for their damage as well, right? And then it's like that determines how much damage your enemy or yourself have taken. So, like, yeah, I mean, this is the official way. So, basically, when you're faced with an opponent, you have to look at your skill score. Let's say we've got a skill of 10, just to make it easy, and your opponent has a skill of 5. Well, we're clearly much more skillful than them, so it's a high chance that we're actually going to win this. So if we rolled 2 dice, because you always roll 2 dice in battle, and if we rolled 2 dice, let's say I just rolled an 8 there, so I'd add that 8 to my skill score, giving me 18. That's my battle sort of strength. That's my striking ability, okay? And then they roll a 5, and they got 9, which is 14, okay? Now, the way we do it on the live stream, which is we take the difference between the 2 attack strengths, okay? And that's the damage that the weaker one takes. And that helps to speed the battles along. But what you're meant to do is only deduct 2. If you've lost this dice roll where you become the, you know, you lost, like their dice roll was higher, then you just minus 2 points damage, and that's it. And that's how these battles can take a really long time. Incidentally, we won that one, so they would lose 2 of their stamina, and you keep doing this until one of you is actually dead. There is ways you can also use your luck to increase damage or escape if you're literally getting down to the, you know, the bottom, and you want to either escape or you want to minimize the risk. But again, each time you do, you gotta, you know, -1 off your luck score, which makes it even more riskier as you go through. So that's really the ways you play it. Minusing 2 off the battle, and then battle resolve. Now, you have your adventure sheet, which, let's see here if we get a picture of one. They don't give us a picture of one. Well, let's have a look at it in the book here. because it's pretty easy, pretty simple. Did we get an adventure sheet in this book? Oh my gosh, there we go. So that's what it looks like. That's what an adventure sheet looks like. It's basically loaded with information, okay? It has your skill, your stamina, your luck, but it'll also have stuff like money, meals, equipment, magic, if it's magic featuring in the game. And it's basically just a place for you to write down your stats. And that's all it is. You can even have one for all the monster encounters that you come across, and that way you can keep track of who you fought against. And it's pretty easy. It's pretty cool. And if you go with the advanced series, you'll have special skills and advanced magic that you can also jot down, but they're not used in the regular versions. And sometimes each book is quite different in how that adventure sheet looks, so it's worthwhile collecting them all. Bookmarks here. During your time reading the game, you will inevitably want to close the application. Okay, so you just lay down a bookmark. To add a bookmark, use the Bookmarks button located in the menu bar at the bottom of the screen. Options. Book. Chewy. It doesn't really say. Bookmark. So, to add a bookmark, use the Bookmarks button located in the bar menu at the bottom of the screen. Well, there is no bookmark button, I'm afraid. So I don't know really what you're talking about there, mate. Once the bookmark list is open, you can select one of your... Oh, I don't know. I really don't know. And I don't even know what these diamonds are, if they mean anything or not, but there you go. So that's that. Go back to that. We've read all that. Go back home, can we? Home. There we go. So that's the rules. That's the introduction. And in the next episode, we're going to have a look at Blood Bones, which looks like it needs an update. So, update available. We shall give that an update, and I'll see you in the next episode. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.